Boop boop. It's Friday. Still Cinco de Mayo here. A few minutes left, so we have a small alcoholic beverage. Broadcasting the long walk back to the darkened room. Yeah. So there weren't a whole lot of people streaming tonight, so I guess they're probably out partying and stuff. A lot of people still down at the bar over here, but I can't afford all that shit. Yeah, we had Amy Newman, I think Graham Gould, some other people I haven't really watched too much, and some guy named Shadow Saint. I'm not sure if that's Smokey Saint. Could be. I don't know. We don't hear too much about him anymore. I heard that him and Will Kincaid are still butt buddies. I just found a photo of this T-shirt on Instagram from a comedian that I like, and so we got the inspiration for Live Fast, Eat Trash. That's remember what Kat was saying last night. Yeah. It all comes full circle. Mind bullets. Oh, my shoulder's fucking bugging. Really need to get this shit checked out. Sober as a fucking judge. And, yeah, it's alright. Deal for real, the deal for real. TFM. Shit, I feel like. Did you tell me something about that? I feel like I did Google search that or something. I'm all TFM. Not sure what that is. Oh. Did I Google that and find out it was something strange? Let's see. I fucked up. Forgot I couldn't do that on here because of my browser. I think I can. I can open a separate browser tab, but I always get confused when I do that shit and I don't want to fuck up the live stream like I just did. So no, I'm still not entirely there was like a bunch of different, well, a few different acronyms that I found on the fly for TFM, and I was like, huh? Total fatty matter, or yeah, I think fatty matter. I don't know. Something to do with soap. I like Fight Club. First rule, Fight Club. In the dark. Ooh, there's the light. Just going in the door, so please give me a moment. Oh, that's not the right avatar. Hold on, how 5-step fucking process. His name was? Oh, Robert Paulson, of course. One of my former band members is in a metal band. His name is Robert Paulson. A heavy metal band. Alright. Shit out of my pocket. So, I did go buy some additional American beers, but I picked these up earlier at the Trader Joe's. They got the Trader Jose dark Mexican lager, and I've got a light Mexican lager. This way. So, let's pop one of these to start off with. So, it looks like we have a jump starter on the way. So, should get the right angle here, so I don't get. I got my work shirt on, so I don't want to get that in the shot. Ooh, Basement Dweller's alive. Or Basement Dweller just posted a video. I don't know. Live. Yeah, so it's just a. Alright. There we go. Get that thing off. Now I don't have to worry about the camera. I'm going to pop this dark Mexican Trader Jose. It's really imported from Mexico, I believe. For some reason, turn on Bluetooth instead of flashlight. Why is it still so dark? Imported from Mexico, so 5.3 alcohol by volume. And yeah, it doesn't really give us a whole lot of, probably more information on the box or whatever, but they sell these in singles, so sounds like cool. Get one of each. I've had the dark before, I haven't had the light. It's pretty good stuff. Oh, gosh. Been a long week. I miss being at home. I miss my bed, but gotta be here taking care of business. And I am saving some time on my commutes, obviously. So it's always good. Hopefully I'll save even more time once I have a fucking running vehicle again. out into the universe. I got the part. I just need the fucking tools. I still have to look at it. They said it's like a 15-inch socket, and I need another jack because I need to jack up both sides because I don't have a lift or anything like that to use. So, and I've never done this before, so it should be interesting. Maybe I should YouTube stream it. Kev tries to work on a car. That'd be some funny shit for you. I've done some fucked up auto mechanic work, do DIY mechanic work already. I could change simple shit. Change the tires and brake pads and all that good shit. But yeah, I'm not like well versed in mechanics, so. I found this, so I've been toking on this. It's grape flavored, grape and aloe. I'm not sure if it contains nicotine, so this has been my little pacifier today. I like it. It's got like that old school like grape soda or like grape candy kind of flavor, Royal Gambit, 4,000 puffs. I was starting to think about like topics I wanted to talk about, but I didn't make a list or anything, so pretty much sit here in the dark until I figure it out, until somebody comes in to hang out. Sure, YouTube can show you in detail how to repair anything. Yeah, well, yeah, I know there's a video of it out there. But I'm just saying, watching me do it will be a lot funnier and clumsier. Oh, thank you, Mom. Yeah, my mom's really gotten on board with helping me with this car thing, which is cool, so. My mom's been riding the transit recently, so she's been meeting my drivers and my customer service staff and all the people I work with, and apparently she's very proud of me, because she goes around, people, yeah, my kid works with you guys. I'm like, oh, all right. Now you get to know the family. So we're looking at getting me and my mom maybe in the transit system as employees, so that would be interesting too. Then we'd have to be co-workers. Ooh, that sounds scary. Still Cinco, happy Cinco. 5th of May. I don't remember. Is this the one that's like a Mexican American holiday, or is this actually a Mexican holiday? I always get those mixed up. Because I know they have like the actual Mexican Independence Day, but then they have like Americanized ones, right, or something. I don't know. I don't really remember right now. Too much other shit going on in my brain case. In my brain case. Had a really cool stream last night with Kat and Ozzy doing some conflict resolution. Sure, no to what? Well, no to what? Which? Was I wrong about the first one or the second one? Not a Mexican holiday. Okay. Okay, so I did have that one right. Damn it, now I forgot what I was about to say. That's hilarious. Hilarious. yeah, made it through today. Fucking, I don't know. There's something cool about it, actually. Like really, really sobering up. Like not even emota or anything. Oh yeah, it's tough to do. Want to stay comfortable, I tend to get very uncomfortable. Oh yeah, I was talking about having Kat and Oz on last night or this morning, technically, um, late in the early a.m. And those two kind of had an unnecessary conflict going on, which I think we got somewhat resolved. I mean, people who don't understand Kat and know Kat from the Will Kincaid circles and stuff, and you know, just you tend to get a certain idea about people um, from random musings on the internet, like in open rooms when people are bantering, and you just don't really get, like you don't get to understand the person's actual ideas because people don't tend to ask. It's like things just come out of our mouths, and whether we're a joke or we're being facetious or fucking sarcastic, it's like makes no difference because if you say it on the internet, it's like set in stone. It's like I heard you say that thing. It's like yeah, but I was joking, or in context, I was like talking about somebody else's stereotype, and I'm being satirizing it. There's like all different like nuances to fucking conversations. We've all got a bunch of opinions just spewing out of our fucking mouths over here. And so yeah, when I saw that, I was like, okay, no, we could do conflict resolution on this one, and we did. We did. I think they don't have to be besties, but there's no reason for them to not like each other, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like that's the way I see it. Let's try to like get more people to fucking get along. Like in the same circles, because as Kat pointed out, there's a lot of people in my ticker, a lot of people when I started streaming and when I first started going around the open rooms, and I became friends with people in different circles, and a lot of those people have had fallings out now. It's like I'm one of those people that I'm like, I'm not going to take a side if I think it's a ridiculous fucking thing that, what I mean? Like, okay, if I found out somebody did something really fucking heinous, and there was a reason for me to fucking, unfriend or whatever, okay, but none of these instances can I see that being reasonable. It's like, okay, y'all got into a fucking argument one time and you've never gotten over it, or you misconceived this thing that somebody else said, and so now you just refuse to talk to them or something. Then you got like interesting ones like the Godless sewing situation where Godless feels like he was ousted by the community, right, because of the doxing video, which was shared around. But he'd already had this ongoing feud with Beck over other shit, and so I think Ox is just being Ox, creating fuckery. But yeah, so it's like I can't fault him, but I'm not gonna bug Beck. I don't know. It sucks that we're not friends anymore, I guess, or at least we're not on speaking terms at this point, right? But I also, like, I don't know. I don't know the extent and nature of the whole thing. I just know that it doesn't seem like there's any reason that he and I shouldn't talk, but he holds me responsible for Godless Sewing going on that rant over here. And it's like, no, like I'm not responsible for that, and I'm gonna let the dude speak his mind, and you're welcome to come in here and fucking talk about it. And that's the way I had to handle that situation. I can't like silence this dude because this other dude doesn't fucking want to hear it or doesn't want to discuss it, or maybe it's just being beaten like a fucking dead horse. What is this? This wascally waccoon. How do I?
Hi, I heard you mention beating dead whores. I was like, where do I get in line to beat up a dead prostitute?
Oh yes, yes. Frequently with those dead prostitutes, I think they pay more for
It's
them
a
sometimes.
fetish. The pimp's really making 100% profit on that one.
Shit, I feel like I should adjust my audio setting. I forgot I turned my mic up really loud because Kat kept talking over me last night. During the whole
I
thing.
heard. I heard you had Oz on. That was so cute.
Yeah, fun. I mean, Oz thought that Kat was Will Kincaid at first.
I heard. I have made the same mistake though. Those two
Yeah,
Jews
many
sound
people have.
exactly the same. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get your channel taken down in the first 5 minutes.
Hey, when you eat trash, no.
Yeah, no, I heard him. I just don't think he was listening to what Kat said. He was busy talking about how he could relate to all of her troubles. And I was like, no, you can't. No, you believe me, you cannot relate to all of Kat's troubles, Oz.
No, and I wouldn't really expect him to. I don't think that was the point of it, But
Really? Telling his story twice, that how he was out of house and lost everything, and basically reiterating it again the second time wasn't him trying to say, I understand.
well, it's that they're running in this mode where they want to try to do positive shit all the time, and so anything that comes into their kind of into the conversation that they perceive as negative, they start attacking it, right? And that's kind of like they're not even looking at the nuance of what's being said, like, and I see this a lot in whatever the woke atheist community, where and I hate to use that term pejoratively like that, but it is a certain mindset where we have like zero tolerance for any dissenting or conflicting ideas at this point. And it's like, no, that's like you still actually have to combat bad arguments. You can't just say bad argument, now I'm fucking silencing you.
Yeah, they're getting worse than Calvinists.
Yeah.
So, what are you on about tonight, brother?
I'm in Cinco mode. I'm drinking Mexican lager. I'm thinking about
Celebrating the independence of Mexico?
yeah, that's what Cinco de Mayo is about.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
Well,
though?
God bless them.
No, I think they actually have Mexican Independence Day. We were talking about that
They
earlier.
do.
I think Cinco is like a Mexican American thing that they do, but
It's like it's Tex-Mex. It's Tex-Mex independence.
right.
Yeah, it has something to do with whatever was going on then. I don't know. I'm getting to where I don't even like the 4th of July in our country because I hate to agree with knock on anything, but like, yeah, as far as land of the free, I don't know if we can say that anymore.
Yeah, it's like the fireworks are symbolic of all those guns that they're taking away and melting down.
Oh, I never thought of that, but you're right. Yeah.
uh,
So when are you gonna have Will Kincaid on?
Will comes by as he pleases. I'm in
We'll
a
summon
couple of
him.
Discord servers with him now, so I could technically invite him, but
You
yeah, I
you
haven't.
have got to you've got to ask him to let you hear the things that he's done with Knox's voice.
What do you mean? Does he have like a soundboard or
Ooh.
something?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Oh my God. If you go to his channel, I want to say it was like last week he did a show and I showed up briefly and he wanted to show me one of the things he was working on, which was like a staged, or I don't know, he concocted a message from Knock to me and about how much Knock misses Smokey Saint and how horny Smokey makes him and all kind of shit. I was like, I mean, it sounded like Knock every way he tried to edit it. It still sounded like Knock, no matter what he did. He had Knock crying at one point. He had him having really hard orgasms at one point. It was that dude's talented as fuck, but you don't want to make Will Kincaid your goddamn enemy because he can make it sound like you have said all kinds of shit.
Oh no, really? Wow, that's funny. I mean, I know I pretty much figured like he's, after what he did with raiding, Knox Facebook account and everything, I was like, okay, this guy's on a different level. And I did, like loosely cover it, but I wasn't really I didn't have too much to say about it at the time. As far as I know, I'm still subbed to Will, but I might not have hit the bell because I don't ever see fucking notifications for his videos anymore.
Yeah, he's definitely not somebody who you just want to treat too lightly because if he gets even a little bit pissed at you, he's gonna make a project out of your ass. Like
Yeah.
not you, but someone like Knock who's just says senseless things all the time. Yeah, that is he is just prey for someone like Will Kincaid. And at some point, I do hope that Will and Oz have some interaction. I would love that, but I don't think that Oz would ever platform Will long enough to talk to him.
Oh no, no. Yeah, they'd probably end up in yeah. I don't see that one working out. See, then that's the thing with Will. Like even when he comes by here, I was joking with Kat. I was like, anytime I do have him in the stream, I need to put it like a disclaimer on screen. Like do
Just
not,
leave it up, man. Just leave your disclaimer of it safe. I want to rematch with Oz on any topic. I just, you know, I needed. I just need every now and then a really soft challenge to bang around. So that's me. That's me taunting him because I want a rematch. I want him to take up another challenge with me.
I never did get to rewatch and catch the entirety of all that, but
Oh,
did you
why
did you
not?
guys go one on one? Or was that just in the
Would you like to see it?
yeah?
It's on his channel. Go to his channel. I'll show you exactly where. I'm very proud
Oh,
of it.
I'm on
I
fucking
share it
phone
with
streaming.
family members. Yeah. Huh?
I'm phone streaming right now, so I can't share
Oh, you
shit.
son of a bitch. Me
Yeah.
too. Anyway, I'll tell you which one it is. If you ever go to his channel, and that's for anyone that's listening, because I really had a lot of fun in this one, folding him up like laundry. But it's on the flavor. That's the name of his channel, and I always have to put the flavor and Oz behind it, otherwise you get all kind of weird shit. But if you go into his lives, it's the one that says "bigot, is you or ain't you?" And I'm so glad he took it down right after it happened, and I understand why, but I'm so glad he put it back up because, yeah, I hope he leaves it up forever. I gotta say, it was probably one of my favorite visits to anybody's channel.
Nice, nice. Are you getting into doing like formal debates? Or are you just like going around these rooms and finding sparring partners? Or
Well, it's weird. I got challenged a little while ago. I just visited Praise's hangout to listen to those buffoons talk about shit, and I wasn't there for 10 minutes before Dave, the news unit, challenged me to a sparring session. So I was like, okay, I went to his channel. It only lasted 22 minutes and he kicked me out and cursed me. And all I did was ask him some questions and he tied himself in a knot.
yeah, yeah, news unit. I've been watching him a bit.
He's a mental
he's
patient.
different. Yeah.
I love him, but he's just out of his goddamn mind. He started talking about thunderstorms and tornadoes and shit in the middle of something about the Bible. I was like, I don't know where you're going, man, but I wish I had your drug dealer.
Yeah. The fire, the brimstone, the
And then I
crystal
went over
meth.
to Kelby's. I just came from Kelby's. Him and I don't know what the guy's name is. I call him Paul. But they were in there and I disrupted their stream. I didn't mean to. I just wanted to come sit in and they started talking to me and boy, they got Paul got upset with me because I was taking his belief in the Bible to task and that got a little ugly. So I don't think that I'm doing formal debates. I think I'm just roaming around and if something pops up, I'm happy to engage it. I'll take a moderated debate if somebody wants to. I don't have anything to hide.
Oh yeah, we could do it here. We could do it here. Maybe that might work out with that rematch with
Bring
the
anybody on any topic if they want to. Let's go. Well, you and I can go right now if you can find something we disagree on.
I might have one. Let me see. The deal for real. We're talking about like people who do like open conversations like these ones, but like some of them, I don't know. I don't want to talk shit. Like I do watch some of y'all for lulz, but I'm not going to say who.
Mm-hmm.
No, definitely like praise his channel and shit. But I'm getting into the smaller circles now. Like all these guys that praise not talking shit about. What?
Oh, the people that praise are talking shit about. You're going to their channels.
Yeah.
He's like boosting his enemies' viewership. I love it.
I do. I even hit the like button, man.
Fucking fantastic. Yeah, subscribe to everybody that praise hates. That's just great support for the community. He's got this hard on for Jamie Russell, and Jamie's just the nicest guy, man. I may not believe in his religion, but he's just really a very logical, good guy, and praise can't stand him. He's so mean to that poor fella. I'd like to debate praise.
Was it?
I would love to debate praise. I've done it before, but I would like a one-on-one. Of course, all he wants to debate is evolution. Now that he thinks that I'm an evolutionist because I'm no longer a Christian, he's like, clearly you're an atheist and an evolutionist. I'm like, I never said either of those things.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time, though, right? If you could be unconvinced, yeah.
I would have to do a lot of research on some shit I don't care about now, and I don't know that that's going to happen.
You don't feel like you need to know where all of life came from and what the origins were. That's
well, like if I had that need, I'd be all kinds of fucked, wouldn't I? Because I can look at theories and go, this is more likely than this, but I'm not going to know.
Oh, chicken and the egg.
Doesn't fucking matter. I won't be here long enough, and even if I do figure it out, no one would believe me anyway.
Yeah,
there's not an amount of proof that's gonna satisfy a lot of people. So even if I did all of the research, learned all the shit, had a degree in everything, fucking came back and told a bunch of people, they just be like, yeah, I don't believe you. And so doesn't fucking matter, especially with so many democracies out there. All that it takes is a bunch of dumb people to believe the wrong thing, and it doesn't matter what evidence you have. It's totally irrelevant.
I get though. Yeah, there's always going to be some people who are going to have some other system. But how does does it have to conflict with evolution? Like, can't we believe in evolution?
Imagine 85% of our nation, just take America, was Calvinist, was Jill and Veckel subscribed kind of people, right? Now imagine that you had the rest of the country that had solid evidence. They actually could recreate the origins of life. Do you think that any of the 85% would believe it, even if they saw life come from goo or whatever?
Yeah, I imagine they'd find some way to rationalize.
God did it. Yeah. God just did it again. That's all. God did it in your laboratory that was just God again. He showed up. He's like, hey, a chance to make life. There's a miracle. Bam. These scientists didn't do anything. It was God. I'm just saying, there's no way. That's the problem with like the religious stuff. The more I fuck with them, the more I realize that I used to be the same way. But like, there's just for some people, there's just no amount of evidence. It does no good. And in democracies, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, you could have all the proof in the world, and they're still going to vote. You can't teach this in your school. They can't, So democracies suck, and religious people, for the most part, are illogical.
Okay, well, I think we can, well, tend to agree on the latter. I don't know about when you say democracy sucks. You mean just wholesale? Like what do you think we should be
All right.
doing?
So where's a good time for mob rule to be the way to decide things?
Um. Okay, I see where you're going. So never, yeah, no.
Do you think that the
But
average person is more intelligent or less intelligent than you?
I,
Come on,
and
be
maybe
honest. Or you could say the PC thing and go, everybody's the same. Same
I
brains.
okay, no, I do think, as far as what like IQ or something, we may be in like a bit of a higher. I don't want to say. See, when you say intelligence,
I'm gonna
see,
go past you and me. I'm not just stopping here. I'm just saying for a baseline. Even if you said that we're all about the same on this level, then I'd say okay. So then we have authorities, right? And the authorities on these issues, whatever they might be, would be heavily in the minority of people capable of making these decisions, right?
right, right. One teacher, 30 students, or maybe 100. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so the teacher might have all the information, but if the students voted against what the teacher said and it's a democracy, then that mob rule would make the teacher's knowledge totally irrelevant.
Well, but okay, but that's why think the democracy as we have it set up, it's not like a mob rule, as you say. We have
Mhm.
this system to where we have like a whatever an understanding that you know we're gonna have these common rules, and then
Well, we're not a
based on
democracy,
that,
though.
what?
We're not a democracy, though. We're a republic. We have
Yeah, we're a
democracy in our
constitutional republic,
elections.
right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we have democracy within our elections, but outside of that, it's not really a thing. Like that's the point. We have a limited democracy because of the Constitution, because we're a republic. There's shit that you
Well,
can't vote on. The mob
but
the mob can't vote on my rights.
that's on the in the federal level though, because the states themselves are what micro or yeah micro democracies within what something I don't know, I
Mm,
got that backwards, but right.
micro constitutions. I mean, they're
Yeah.
tiny countries. At least that was their intent.
So I think the problem there is with the what do you say, the piece about sedition, right? I think the rules on sedition should be just as long as if one state wants to just pull out of the compact even for a period of time, they should do that, right? They
Can we
shouldn't
vote?
need.
Can we vote against the Constitution being upheld?
Can we vote against the Constitution being upheld?
Yeah.
I
Can we vote to just scuttle the whole Constitution?
Well, I believe we can. That's in
Mm,
the verbiage there, right? But
I agree.
like, I don't think most people are prepared to do that.
Because the minute they do that, the government itself ceases to have warrant to exist because
Well,
it's
yeah,
the
that's why I think you would
foundational
have to do it
documents are consent of the governed.
under the caveat of holding like a new constitutional convention, right? We're going to say, okay,
Mhm.
we're going to suspend the activities under this constitution, go have a new convention where we rework the thing, and then come back and then vote that in, that
That's
type of
awful
thing.
limited, isn't it? That's limiting it to just a constitutional form of government to replace a previous constitutional form of government.
Right, right.
So that would be like why are we limiting it to just that? Why wouldn't we be able to vote and then just say, hey, we vote for anarchy as the most moral form of government, being no government? Why can't we vote for anarchy? Couldn't we?
Well, it seems like you don't really have to vote for anarchy. If you really want anarchy, you could just anarchy. With that is, of
No,
course,
anarchy is
other
illegal.
people will probably try to stop you.
Yes, it's illegal. To anarchy is illegal by
Yeah.
its nature. So they will fucking stop you. They will be authoritarian about your belief in anarchism being the most moral form of government. If you hold that belief,
Yeah, like, but I do recall, like, as a young person, when I considered, myself an anarchist, I would do, you know, cut school and smoke pot and commit vandalism and, steal
nah, that
shit,
you
like
wait,
that was
wait,
my
wait, wait,
form of
wait, wait, wait,
anarchy.
wait. That's not anarchy. That's criminalism. You're a fucking criminal. Stop doing that. That's not anarchy. Anarchy just means there's no government authority. That doesn't mean that you can go fucking be an asshole to other people.
Okay, so then technically, to be an
You're a
anarchist,
thug.
right now you would have to go to a place where there is no government, because otherwise you can't really
Right.
like say you're an anarchist in any governed
That's
society.
correct. You are spot on, my friend. That is exactly the situation. And I promise you, there's not going to be a parcel of land that the government of any place is going to be fine just leaving it alone to a bunch of anarchists. They're going to be
Well,
like,
I
you know
guess
what?
maritime
We
law,
don't agree
right?
with
You
what
can
you're
go
doing.
become a pirate.
Yeah, now that is a true. That is a place where you could really redefine government and try it out on a vessel, because it still stands that on the seas the captain makes the rules. On his
Right.
ship, no government can say what he can or can't do as long as it's not polluting the ocean.
Right.
So that's a lovely place to try out things. We've tried pure democracies throughout the history of piracy, and that shit can get pretty fucking wild. But what can be done on a ship is anarchy.
Right. Which would be a mutiny, essentially, right?
It could be, but the whole point is somebody's got to decide where the fuck the ship is going. If everybody's like, we can't really decide where to go. Everybody's got their own idea. What do? We draw straws. I mean, like, how do you got to get people to give up their own idea of not being governed? So on a ship, a thing that has a purpose and intent, anarchy doesn't work. So what is the next most moral form of government outside of anarchy? And I'm going to suggest it's minarchism.
Minarchism?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, Kat was telling me a little bit about this. So this is kind of a minimalist form of government, like this.
It's only the bare essentials for maintaining individual rights and also peace, and to be able to address issues that happen, let's say on the ship. Let's just keep it on a ship right now, okay?
Okay.
So in order to have a direction and order, you have to have some form of hierarchy, right? Somebody has to make the decision where we're going and what we're doing.
Got you. So,
Okay.
and how do we see? I don't want to use the word elect. Oh shit! Sorry, I don't want to use the word elect here. How do we assign that person? How do we decide that?
Well,
Or who
first we have to
decides?
decide what we think the purpose of that position should be and what influence that position has over the rest of the crew.
Well, if we're talking about a position of leadership, right? Um, I mean, if you're talking about the captain of a ship, obviously, as you said, they get the sole power to make the rules, which doesn't seem to work in the institution of a government, right? Because then any person who gets into that position, that's going to be their objective, right? Is to make the rules to align so that it is somehow beneficial to them, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
has to be a position, I think, where it's more of like a fatherly position, I guess, right? A paternal position is what you're looking for. If you're looking for like the traditional type of like more of a family type of structure, right?
Okay,
Or
so
community type of structure.
within that structure, there would be sort of things that would be considered too harsh to do to the children, or let's say the crew. As a family unit, you would afford all these people some level of respect and autonomy and rights, wouldn't you?
Yeah, yeah,
Right, because otherwise you're a slave.
right.
All right, so on this ship we have some sort of need of a guidance, some place to consent to a minimal amount of authority, just enough to get to where we're going and accomplish the thing that we're trying to do. Right, so there would need to be certain things that are off limits to the authority that we're creating. You with me?
Right. Right. So there are restrictions upon the captain in this sense.
Yes.
That's the okay.
You're giving them a minimal, limited amount of authority to do just certain things, and you're also saying there's some other things that are just off limits. And we can all agree before we set this up that if the guy that we put in charge or the guys go after these things, then they are no longer worthy of leading and they've lost their way. Right?
Okay,
And we're going to have to
So
put somebody else.
but my question here is that okay, and so we have, this sole appointed individual, and we tell them we want you to guide the ship, but we're
Okay,
but
let's start
see,
from an island. There's 30 of us on a fucking island. We come across the ship. We didn't build the ship. We just come across it, and we're all like, we need to get the fuck off this island. So everybody gets on the ship, and before we shove off, we're like, hold on, we got to figure out how the fuck this is gonna work, because goddamn Kevin keeps telling everybody what to fucking do, and he's trying to tell me that I can't bring my weed on board. And like, we just need to figure out who the fuck is in charge, because this crazy ape, as much as I love him, is a tyrant. So what are we gonna do?
um
We're gonna
okay,
listen
we're
to
on the
listen to
island. I'm
everybody,
telling
right?
you, right. So now
It
you
doesn't
already
have
put
to
it
be
to
you.
the
That was
group,
just an
though.
example. It's take
Wait,
that part out. Okay,
but
it's not about
I feel
Kev.
like in doing this, no. I'm getting it. You're appealing to democracy here, though, because you
Am
have
I?
to go to the group and say, hey, who thinks I'm right, and who thinks, will needs to
All right.
leave
Well,
his
let's try
stash on
that.
that.
Let's try that. So let's say we do that. Let's say, okay, well, we need to take a vote on it. All right. So does the vote need to be unanimous, or do we just need a majority? Before we put
Um,
people into positions, I mean, like, because right now, Kev, you're just one of the rest of us. You're one of the 30.
I fucking ox. What's up?
That's my boy.
Okay, so I think that depends on okay. So it's I guess the objective. How do I put this? So it really you need a majority only if it's like so important to those people that the ship's not going to sail, and you have to figure out how important this issue is to the group before you even figure out how many people need to have a say in the matter. How many people are
Well,
like,
we need to,
I don't even
Kevin.
care.
Kevin, before we set out in the middle of this water, I want to remind you what mutiny looks like to a captain who the crew is not happy with.
Wait.
Yeah. You're going to be in the middle of the ocean. Whoever it is that's going to be in charge is going to be surrounded by 29, or let's say there's 3 people in charge. Okay. Maybe 5 people in charge. Okay. So let's say there's 25 people.
Okay.
And 5 that are running the show, saying they're taking different shift captains, if you will. Okay. So you got, if the 25 aren't happy with the 5, does their power or perceived title mean anything at that point?
Only if they need the 5 on board, or otherwise, I guess they could just tell them to shove off, right? Because they're going to.
Oh, they call it walking the plank.
Yeah.
So before we push off into the water, let's figure out what we're going to do before we have to make any rash decisions and somebody walks the plank. So we're going to put 5 of you in charge. And in order for you guys to stay alive, we're going to say there's a few things that you need to recognize are off limits, or this isn't going to go well for you 5. Would you be inclined to listen to those limitations?
Wait. So I'm one of the 5?
Let's say you wanted to be, because you know you believe that you can get us to Jamaica, and that's where the good
Right.
weed is.
Okay. So, yeah.
Do you want the
Yeah,
job?
I mean, right. I'm getting paid for this job, right? Yeah. So,
Well,
no.
you're getting off the fucking island, and you're gonna come with us.
Oh
There's
yeah,
25 of us, right? There's
right.
30 altogether, but like 5 of you are going to get extra authority.
Yes, I see. And so yeah, we've got to have. There's limitations on that authority. Okay.
That's
I
for
can
your
see that.
safety.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we've just gone from a democracy to what? We're enumerating liberties that can't be trespassed. Sound familiar?
Okay. So we're developing a constitution.
Well, at least a Bill of Rights, and yeah, maybe a constitution if we've decided that 5 of you are going to be like, here's our schedule, here's our hierarchy. 5 of you have equal power over the rest of us. There's there's a intentionally it would be an odd number, so that we don't have any votes that are split. Right. So we've got our 5 with limited authority. Now we've got to decide what privileges do you guys get above the rest of us? What can you do? Can you tell us what to do, and what can you tell us to do?
So this does sound very much like the framework we have in place, right?
I'm open to other suggestions. We all got to get off this fucking island. I don't need to set it up like the Constitution or Bill of Rights, but to get off this island, we got to figure out some way to not have a mutiny and see if Kev can swim.
Yeah, I think it starts with rights. Like we need to have some basic list of the things that like a Bill of Rights. But I don't know if the one we have is picture perfection. But yeah, some list of the right that everybody has, the right to these things as long as they're on this ship.
Okay, well, do we get a voice? I mean, obviously, before we set off on the ship, I want to make sure that once we're underway, if I have an objection to some fuck shit y'all are doing, that I'm not going to get thrown overboard just by voicing my opinion. So I'm suggesting that you recognize for all of us that we have equal rights to speak about the things that are going on.
Right. Correct.
So we just granted a freedom of speech. Is that unlimited?
I want to say to a certain extent. Obviously,
can we yell fire on a crowded boat?
Well, you can, but it's I think it's obviously there's got to be repercussions to doing that. So we want to somehow mitigate instances of people yelling fire on a crowded boat. So how are we going to kind of?
Well, let's say that there needs to be a fire. To be responsible adults here, we can agree that we're not going to yell fire unless there's actually a fucking fire. I can get behind that. Are you good with that?
Well, yeah.
All right. Now, if we get out here on the water and people start to get, out of whack, do we have a way to keep them in line? Do we need any kind of weaponry? Maybe the 5 need weapons? Because, what if there is a mutiny? Wouldn't you want to be able to defend yourself from the people, the 25?
Wait. Are we going straight to right to bear arms? Because I feel like we skipped over the freedom of assembly there. Like,
I don't think we have a choice. We're on a fucking boat. We're as assembled as we're gonna goddamn get.
okay. So that one's out the window in this scenario. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we need to be armed. Well, yeah, I think if we're on a fucking boat, we should probably all be armed.
Let's just start with the first 5. Let's just start with you guys that are in charge. Because if you're gonna be a captain and you're gonna tell us what to do, if we don't, I mean, I'm a pretty big guy, Kev. I don't know that without a weapon you can make me do anything. If I decide,
yeah, and since we're coming off an island, who knows what kind of weaponry we have? But we should have weapons.
Pointy sticks.
Yeah,
get pointy sticks. You know, we could be the gang of pointy stick fuckers.
Right.
That's the gang name. So you got your sticks, but obviously to avoid you abusing us, we would probably need pointy sticks too, right? Because what if we're attacked on the ocean by Somali pirates?
Yeah. No, I agree. In this scenario, like everybody should have a pointy stick, unless like, maybe they don't want to fight, or they have an aversion to sticks or something. I don't know. Whatever. That's fine too.
They may change their mind if the Somali pirates show up. They might not like the rape factor involved if you lose.
We should have a few extra sticks on board. Yeah.
Just in case. Yeah, we'll keep a sharpener, keep a sharp knife to sharpen the sticks in case we need more. I don't know. But so we've given now rights to defend ourselves. That's good. Let's see. Where else do we need to go?
Okay, so then we have all right, so we can speak our minds, we can defend ourselves, and we have a weapon of some kind. And so we all need to have, like, obviously, like, a place to lay our heads and food to eat, rations of some kind. And we're probably going to have to put in some share of work in order to receive those. Like, that's
all right. We'll probably have to share some spaces, like sleeping spaces, being on shifts. But one thing I'm funny about is, like, I don't like using anybody else's blanket. So can I have my own blanket? I brought it with me.
Yeah.
It's really just my jacket.
Well, I think that just comes with the sleeping space. I feel like, it's like a,
So you're acknowledging my right to my own property. It's not community property. It's my property. This is my jacket. It smells like me. It's full of raccoon hair.
Well, I don't know. It may be the case on a ship that, with people working in shifts, this could be even like a case for a commune, and maybe people would share bedding and share laundry duties. We should all have our own clothes. I don't think we need to share clothes. But I think as long as we're washing out the linens and we're all keeping clean. So I guess that's another thing. Like, but yeah. Anyway, now I'm like way overthinking this. We're on a ship, but yeah.
Well, no, we're not, because I promise you, if we're on the ship and somebody fucks with my jacket, I'm going to use my pointy stick on them.
No, you get to have your jacket. So yeah, you got your right to the property. Yeah.
All right, so now we've enshrined the right to own property. That's good. Now I can get on this ship with a little more confidence. So now we've got to decide where to go, and we've got 25 people, and I think, is your recommendation still Jamaica?
Yeah. I think we were agreeing to go to Jamaica. Yeah.
Well, I think it was your idea to go to Jamaica, but like there's 25 of us, and not to mention the other 4 leaders here.
Yeah. I don't know.
How are we going to make the decision?
Yeah, well, I guess we should. We could start by asking the other 4, and then kind of go from there, right? Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's say you confer with the other 4, and they decide on Jamaica. What does that mean for the crew? Did the crew get a vote in this?
Or idea and say we are unanimous. We have decided we should go to Jamaica. What do you group think?
But seven of the group go, no, I really think Cuba's better.
How many of us are there again? 30 or 25? I keep forgetting.
There's 30 in total, 25 civilians and 5 of the authority.
Okay, so less than half. So, well, do you have an alternative idea you'd like to bring to
Cuba.
the group?
Yeah, we would like to go to Cuba.
Do we know how far we are from either of these destinations? Or are we all just guessing? Do we have a map? Damn it.
Nope, no map. No map, just you've got a general idea of where Jamaica might be, and someone else is claiming they have a general idea where Cuba might be.
Okay, but we've got 5 plus 8, and you've only got 7, so I think we're still going with us.
Okay. I don't know, man. That's that still might mean that the crew's about to get smaller. Maybe we should decide on this.
Well, we've
before
already
we
set
set
sail,
off.
right? Do we have a lifeboat? I
No,
don't
no,
know
we're
how
still on the boat. We're still in the boat, but we haven't pushed off yet because you can't push off unless you know what direction you're going.
Damn it.
I know, right? It's almost impossible to get anything done with this system.
Well, no, we've come this far. So let's say, is there some
Rock, paper,
compromise?
scissors?
Now I need a map. Shit.
Okay, how about rock, paper, scissors?
Rock, paper,
You don't want to do rock, paper, scissors? I mean, at least it's not a democracy.
I mean,
if I can get the group to have a representative for Cuba, and then you can get the group to have a representative for Jamaica. You want to flip a coin? Do you want to arm wrestle? That doesn't seem fair. Is there another way you'd like to make this decision that seems fair?
Well, we could have a debate.
We just go with majority
we could have everybody sit down and be like, this is the most qualified representative from each group, and then they'll debate each other and see if they can actually change anybody's mind.
Okay, let's say we do that, but yet without a map, anything, we've just got 2 guys claiming they know where they're going, but we don't know for sure. We just got the claims that they know.
Well, they just have to be convincing. That's all they have to do. They don't have to actually know.
Now you're describing politics perfectly.
Oh shit.
Okay, we can stop the thought experiment. We've gone plenty far, but it was fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So minarchism is tough because you really want to respect everybody's rights, but if it's moral to do that, but it's so much easier and expedient to just be authoritarian and tell the people that don't agree with the 5 to shut the fuck up. The only problem is when you get out in the middle of the we fucking had it. We've got pointy sticks and you're gonna go for a swim now. And I think that's kind of the problem we've had with whenever authoritarianism sneaks into our system, and it's taken hold now for sure. You get a lot of people that are sharpening sticks.
Yeah, and it's so I don't know. There's so much violence or threat of violence. It seems like, and I know we used to be much more violent. In some ways, it seems like we're reverting to that. And that's why I'm like, okay, nip it in the bud, do it now before you have to have an actual revolution, because those things are fucking rough, man.
How are you going to build anything but violence when government itself is reliant upon violence to enforce all of its dictates?
Well, that's like cultural revolution, like social revolution, where people these mass waves of peaceful protests. Like, I think the more that people keep doing this, they just keep getting bigger and bigger, and just more young people standing up. What?
Wait! You're just describing the noise getting louder. You're not actually. What happens once the people get in a huge mass, like a massive group of people, an easy majority, and they're standing out and they're yelling? If I'm a politician, I can just choose not to listen. What are you going to do about it but yell on the street corners? How does your yelling make a difference to me?
Well, they're doing more than yelling on the street corners. They're fucking.
What are they doing?
blocking traffic and businesses. I mean, Black Lives Matter and all that shit. It was fucking
Right.
huge, and for the most part,
But who's
peaceful
it hurting?
demonstration.
Right. Who's it
What?
hurting though? Who is blocking the streets hurting? Is it hurting the government?
Well, it's fucking stopping up the system to fucking just to
It's
prove a point.
Yeah, it's stopping
That's all it
firemen
is.
from putting out fires. It's stopping ambulances from getting through. It's stopping people
Yeah.
from getting to work and missing their parole. I mean, there's lots of different things that it's doing. It's definitely not making the group of protesters grow larger. It's creating another side of people that are like, move the fuck out of the road and protest like a normal human being that doesn't, get in everybody's goddamn way. The
Well,
whole
no, I
point is,
agree with you,
even if
but
you do
I'm
that,
saying the
victim
fact
is the
is that
people.
just the scale of the movements and the different tactics they're using. I'm not advocating for that one in
I know
particular.
you're not. I'm just saying
But
it's not changing anything. If
I
you're the government, listen. Okay, let's go back to the ship because it's easier to understand on the ship. You're the five. We've decided we're going to goddamn Jamaica. Okay, you won that argument. We're well underway now. Well underway. All of a sudden, there's motherfuckers going, yeah, we don't like the way this is going. This is not cool. I don't like this. We got to fucking do something about it, right? You can't just let it be. We're making a lot of noise, or do we
now
have to do anything? Wait a second. Do we have to do anything? Because they're just talking. They're just saying, I don't like it. But we're almost to goddamn Jamaica. Why can't we just ignore them for just a little bit longer and then we'll be in goddamn Jamaica and we can all get off the ship?
So I imagine a different scenario, right? Because if we go back, down the list of rights and responsibilities that we were talking about, right? So they're all sailing away. So, and then they have this disagreement, right? And so say these seven, right? Or they're all fucking Mahatma Gandhi, fucking just, ultimate pacifist. And so they're like, well, fuck it. We're just going to sit here and we're not going to work and we'll just fucking starve to death because we don't get any food if we don't work, right? And then you've got these people, just passively protesting on your ship. And then you just got to watch them, sit there, wither away, do whatever they're doing, but they're not helping the crew. They're, you know what I mean? They don't get their rations. They have to sleep on the floor because they don't get a bunk anymore, right? So
yeah, but you just throw them overboard since they're not helping anymore, right?
You think that's what most sailors would do?
After a certain point, once they start,
space.
Yeah, you're just laying there rotting on the floor. You're making us watch you die. We're trying to give you food and you don't want it. Well, motherfucker, let me speed this up. Let me help you out.
Okay, well, let's assume. Okay, some of these guys are pretty good dudes, and they would even give up some of their rations, even if that wasn't the deal.
Okay, they're great dudes. Now here's what I do. I go, we're almost to Jamaica. Okay, I get you guys are hungry, but if I can just get there before you officially die of starvation, we can. This argument ends. So why don't you just keep yelling or keep starving or whatever? And I'm just going to keep doing what I think is best. And you'll see once we get there that you were stupid for objecting and protesting at all.
Yeah. It's possible.
I'm disregarding their voices, right?
Well, I mean, as long as they make it to Jamaica, that's the point. Like, do you think these majority would just sit there and watch these people die, or would they
you never know.
Have some,
You never know. Like, I would be fine. Like, personally, I would be fine because they're not taking my resources. They're starving themselves, and it sucks. But that's their choice. I personally wouldn't have a problem. I would be fine with letting them die. It's just I can't force feed them. But but here's what I'm getting at. Making the noises doesn't change the fact that the people in charge believe they know what's best. So I can yell all I want, but it's just noise, and they're happy to sit aside most of the time and let me drown in my ignorance. Or if I become too big of a nuisance, lock me up. But what's not changing is that we're going to goddamn Jamaica.
Well, okay, so I think that goes back to the nature of what being a leader is, though, right? Because we list those qualities, or it's like, okay, so in a way, the leader has to be confident. They have to believe that they know what they're doing. Like, otherwise, you wouldn't want them to lead. But in the second place, they have to actually listen to their constituents and be compassionate. Like, that's part of the deal.
Or what?
Otherwise, they're not a good leader, and they shouldn't. They should
Irrelevant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's irrelevant. They're already there. They're already leading. What I'm saying is making noise. Okay, let me just say.
So the people should pull the leader out of. Yeah, right. Gotcha. Yeah.
No, well, I like the idea that you said that the 7 would stop working. They would stop doing anything to benefit the journey.
Right.
I like that. I think that that's not just complaining and doing the same old thing and feeding the beast. That's at least complaining and saying, and I'm not going to help you. I think that that's honorable. That's appropriate. You're actually making some sort of difference by causing the others to have to work harder. They're having to pick up the shifts of the 7 that, didn't work. So that's costing them a little bit. That's costing them time and manpower. They're feeling that. If there was a way to do more, I mean, it depends on what you offer. Now, if you bring it to our nation and our politics, which is what I'm directly trying to relate it to, us yelling on the street corners isn't doing anything. But if we stop helping, if we stop feeding the beast and funding it, then all of a sudden the leaders go, oh, now we can't move forward because we need their money. We need them to get involved in this and give us the money. So if they don't give us the money, then our power is just about useless because we can't even pay people to go get the money from them if we don't have the money to pay the people. And since the people fund the beast, I'm saying if you want to protest, stop paying your goddamn taxes because you're really making noise is just, I mean, you're just a dog barking. They're ignoring you. They don't care.
Wait,
we're going to Jamaica.
The IRS can't come after all of us? Is that what you're saying?
Obviously, they can't come after all of us.
But then everybody has to just work their own trade and become a freelancer, right? And not because you can't do that like regular employers. They're going to automatically take your shit.
Hold on. You acknowledge that we have rights, right? One of those being the 5th Amendment, which is the right to not incriminate yourself, right? So you tell me how with the IRS they can demand that I give up and waive my 5th Amendment right and share financial information that I wouldn't share with anybody that may or may not, since I don't know the entire IRS tax code, it may or may not implicate me in something that they consider a crime or a violation. So in order to report my finances and all that shit, I have to waive my 5th Amendment right to privacy. That seems unconstitutional in its very nature. Can you defend that concept?
Yeah, that sounds very lawyer-like. I'd say. But if they can somehow subpoena the information and circumvent your consent,
can they do that and it still be constitutional? Can they violate? Can they violate my 5th Amendment rights and then just totally ignore it? Like, can they go around it and say, okay, you didn't report it, but we're gonna find this information. We're gonna dig into your privacy. We're gonna get this information and we're gonna hold you accountable for whatever we find. Can they do that without probable cause?
I don't think so. I don't think it should be, but.
Right. So what I'm saying is, before you even begin to get a warrant to get into my information, you have to have someone to say that I've done a crime. If I haven't reported anything, then what are you relying on to say that I have done a crime? I haven't given you any information to base that assertion on.
Well, right. This is going to be the accusation, the allegation would be tax evasion, right? They're going to say, well,
it could be an accusation, but you would need evidence of it. And without me reporting, you couldn't really say that I evaded anything. You don't know that I owe you anything or that I've made any money. All we do know is that the IRS has forced my employer to give financial information, and my employer has done that. Doesn't mean that it's true. Doesn't mean that it's false. It also is just hearsay against me.
Information given by your employer is hearsay.
Yeah. Because they're being forced to say that I have income. And when in reality, there's a contract of services that's being carried out. They're saying, I'll pay you this much if you'll do this job. At no point does my consent to do something for this set amount of money equate income over the bargain. What we're talking about is consideration or compensation, which is not income. If I contract with you to come be security for my house, and I just say, I call you up and I say, Kevin, I want you to come do this thing for me. All right. And I'm going to pay you $300 if you'll just sit out here and watch my property for 2 days. And you're like, yeah, sure, Will. I'll do that. Okay, we have a deal. I'm going to pay you this amount to compensate you from the time and effort that you're putting into defending my property. At what point does the government go, Kev needs to give us some of that money. He doesn't deserve to keep that. One of you need to give us some money. So who's it going to be? How about both of you? Tell us what you paid him. And I go, okay, well, I paid him this much, but I mean, that's our deal. And they're like, fine, that's all we needed. Kevin, you got this much money from a deal you made with Will. We need some of that. Okay, well, what did they do for it, Kev? How did they help you while you were on the job? What did they allow you to do?
I don't recall. I think they made me fill out a form when I first started working, and I did
not do that to you. I just asked you if you would do it, and you said, we're talking about this scenario, the one we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
We're talking about the hypothetical where I hired you for 3 days, 2-3 days. So, okay. So all I'm saying is they didn't do anything for a cut of your money. You made a deal with me. I pay you that amount. You provide the services.
Oh, yeah.
Why are they taking from you the product of your labor? The deal was never with them.
No, I can't really figure that one out. There's supposed to be some type of deal where I think they're kind of supposed to be borrowing from me, but if they decide that something, then all of a sudden I owe them money. But technically, the whole kind of deal is that they're borrowing from us, and then we get a return, right? But we're not actually getting those returns. I don't know. Was there something like that going on? Yeah.
I just won my case. It's been going on for a year with the IRS, and they ended up paying me and trying to make it all disappear as quick as possible because I asked them a few really hard questions. And I can tell you that they don't have the answer to the questions.
I got you. Okay. No, I need to remember this because. Yeah, I'm gonna have to deal with those fuckers. They fucking every fucking time I fucking actually file, which I have missed a couple of seasons, but when I do file every fucking time, I get fucked, man. They take all my shit and they want more. It's like I just pay out the fucking nose and it's dumb.
They're all up in your business, aren't they?
No, they get a hold of me like once every 4 or 5 years or something. It seems to happen around election cycles or something.
Is that as often as you file taxes?
What?
You only file taxes every 5 years?
No.
No wonder they're all up your ass.
It wasn't that bad. Well, see, I didn't. So I filed my first. I was like 19 or 20 because I didn't really have much of a work history. And then, but I had missed the first year, got on the second year, and my first time filing was just a freaking disaster. And so it took me like 5 years to get out of that. Huh?
No, but what did they do for you? You filed with them. Okay, let's go to your first encounter with them. You got a job. You then later on you reported your earnings to them.
Right.
And what service did they provide you?
Oh, the IRS, they never provided me any service that you could.
Oh,
yeah, no.
So you're not a customer.
they kept me waiting on hold for very long periods of time for
Because you're not a customer. Because they're not
no.
providing a service. You just said they're not providing a service. You're not a customer. And if you don't do what they say, will they punish you?
Well, apparently they continue to take my money regardless of whether I like it or not, because they're able to just siphon it right out of my freaking
Your
paychecks
paycheck.
before I even get them.
So do you
They've
understand
garnished my wages?
Like I would look at that as them basically showing you that you're not free and that you're actually property and your purpose is to make money for them.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Well, I don't believe that people are just machines that are built to make money. Do you believe that?
No.
Yet someone is harnessing your energy to make a profit and giving you nothing in return. That seems like a minor form of slavery, perhaps.
Yeah, I'd say there's something. I don't know. I think of it as a capitalism problem, which is why I still lean anti-capitalism.
You think that's capitalism?
I think it's built into the system. It's a system of debt, which is what they try to encourage, and that's part of the capitalist machine. That's
okay. Now you're mixing two things, though. You're mixing two things. The system of debt is not just a capitalist thing. Okay, that's not what capitalism is. But what we're talking about is confiscation of property, and I say property. You were talking about your income, which is interfering with free trade of services for compensation. So that is in no way capitalism. That's more socialism if you think about it. Because someone is helping themselves to, oh, that is the sexiest motherfucker on the internet. Kevin, I'm coming. I'm coming. Why did you put him on screen? Fucking Aussies. Anyway, but think about it though. It's not free trade. It's not capitalism because someone else is helping themselves to your property as though it's public property or government property. And it's not, because they're not giving you a service. That's not capitalism at all.
I don't know. Wait, so I'm trying to just unpack
free trade, dude. Free trade and capitalism is the first scenario I described where I hired you for a set amount to do a set job that was just between the two of us. That's free trade with no government involvement. The government helps itself to your money. So that's government taking your property as though it's theirs to use for other people. That's socialism.
Right. I agree with that, but it's because of the way it's funneled. Like you were specifically talking about the IRS, right? It's not like, paying your local taxes, which I think you could see more where your money's going. Like we're like, okay, because we're actually voting on these bills to spend X amount of dollars on roads or public schools or infrastructure,
okay,
whatever.
But wait, dude, you're steering it away from the obvious. Okay, the obvious is your property is what I'm paying you for your service. The taxation, for whatever reason, doesn't involve mine and your agreement, because this scenario that I described is free trade and capitalism. When you bring something else into it, regardless of the purpose, regardless of why they're confiscating your property, we are no longer talking about capitalism. Everything outside of what we just described is called infringement by the government and confiscation of your property to give to other people. So this is socialism in action because it requires the stealing of property.
No, I think, okay, so in essence, I understand what you're saying, but I think what we have
Can I have a go, Kevin? So if I have my head around it, the thing is, so say me and you meet in a field, and I have a coconut and you have a flask of water, you're hungry and I'm thirsty, and we agree that each other's thing is worth the same value, and we decide to swap it, right? That's a fair trade. Or I might decide to do a bit of work for you to give me that water, okay? But we've traded equal things. What happens with income tax is I trade, for example, my labor for money, and it's a fair and equal trade, but then this third person comes along and for no apparent reason says, I'll have a little bit of that, thanks. It wasn't profit, you haven't benefited anything, you've just done a one for one swap, but you're getting taxed on that. Am I on the right track with that, William?
I'm gonna kiss you full on the mouth. That's how on track you are.
Cool. Yeah. So I do understand it. Does that make
Yeah,
sense,
you're
Kevin?
all caught up, bro.
Yeah, I feel like I was gonna say something similar, but yes, exactly. And I'm sorry if I interrupted. I think we always have this tiny lag between
No,
us.
not at all. I probably interrupted you.
I got to do my report. I'll be right back. You Patriots carry on.
So yeah, like you're saying, like I think there is some socialism that we adopt, and it's necessary in the system. I just think ours here in the U.S. is broken. Like, but this idea of like that the money that we're using, the way that we're funneling it, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
always say it's been corrupted, like inherently, because there are flaws, there are parts of the system that are broken from the way it was designed, and that's why I feel like it is important to revise the Constitution, if we can even use that term, without because when I say abolish and rewrite the document, people get all offended and or something, and they won't even change one amendment. It's like once it's written, it's set in stone. You have to set another one over the top of it.
Next window on the chai. Thank you.
Yeah. So, well, here's the thing, Kev. The Constitution isn't the problem. The Constitution, the problem is that the Constitution hasn't been followed. So, for example, the Constitution doesn't allow for an income tax, right? But then they do like amendments that allow certain circumstances. So, for example, they allow a state, not the government, but a state, to decide for itself if it wants to impose an income tax. Now, the argument then is we've just written something to undo what the amendment stands for. You know what I mean? So, does an amendment count if the amendment is unconstitutional? And you've got to think of the Constitution not as laws, but as these rights that no matter what country or where you go on earth, every human should have these rights. Which is basically another human can't tell you what to do or this or that.
Wait, Sammy.
But people, yeah.
Well, for what you said before you move on, you just asked a very important question. Can an amendment be valid if it's
Unconstitutional?
Right. And so if I was just talking with Monkey about the Fifth Amendment being your right to privacy, and if another amendment comes along that requires you to waive that right so that you can report taxes, wouldn't that by definition make it unconstitutional?
Right. And we agree on that point. But I don't think by merely even just repealing that additional amendment, I think you would still have to correct the Fifth Amendment, right? That's the one that's undermined in order to account for that error. Does that make sense?
Wait,
The
why would
the
you need to?
crucial
Why
part
would you?
that you've missed though is that you cannot repeal or change these rights. The rights are untouchable. They're not. The idea is that they're not decided or made up by men, but they're just intrinsic things that exist. So you can change the actual constitution, but not the foundational rights that it's all based on. Does that make sense?
Okay, so let me ask you about a foundational right. Like, do all people have the right to full bodily autonomy at all times?
When you say people, do you include all human life?
I include all living sentient persons, I guess.
Well, those people would be included in all human life, but I am not excluding even the fetus. If you're willing to do that, that's a step you're willing to take. I'm not willing to say that that's not a human life just because it's a fetus.
See, with things like that, Kev, be that yes, in all cases, all humans have the right to autonomy. The argument becomes, what is a human? That's the part that can be argued, but you can't argue that all humans should have autonomy. So you have the people who say a clump of cells is not a human, it doesn't have autonomy. Whereas other people will say, well, I disagree. I think that is a human. It does have autonomy, and we should protect its rights as much as the mother's. I'm not saying that's my position. I'm just saying that's how I understand the argument. It's a fucking tough one.
I know. And I'm like, and how does it apply to privacy? Anyway.
Well, how can you be in trouble for having an abortion if no one knows you had one? How does the law have the right? Like, if I go to my GP because I've got an STD, does the government have a right to know that so it can tell everyone else I have this STD to protect them from me?
Is it still an
Oh
abortion?
God, I had an STD one time. It was horrible, but luckily it was curable.
Oh, that chlamydia is fun.
It is still on abortion, but the part of abortion that's about privacy.
Okay, well that is more about the doctor himself. All right, because no one's going to know if you do this in your home, but if you go to a doctor and he assists in this murder or killing, then he should lose his license because he's supposed to protect life, to do no harm. And if he's taking a human life for no valid reason, then he's committing harm, and he has to report these actions. That's part of his thing. If he does this, he's got to report that he did this procedure.
Yeah, okay. But I guess, like a client-attorney privilege, do we have the right to make the doctor
Okay. Do you have the right to make? You broke up. Say that one more time.
Say again?
You asked something about, do we have the right to make the doctor, and then you broke up, and I didn't catch the last part.
Oh, well, it's like client-attorney privilege. If a lawyer doesn't have to gob you in for murder, thank you. Why should a doctor? Is it, you think, because of that oath that he took to protect life?
No, the doctor's not turning you in for murder. The doctor's committing the murder. You don't give somebody. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
if you give doctors, if you give doctors this right to do that, then they could basically murder whoever they wanted, and there's nothing you could do. So it is something when they do this procedure, they are reporting that they did this thing. Okay, there's a disposal of the organic material, the fetus, which has to be done because it's biological waste. So again, more records that the doctor did this thing that he would have to report anyway as part of his job. It doesn't mean that he has to blame the person that came for the abortion. The reality is that he's the one that went through with the unlawful act of taking an innocent life. And unless there's rape or some medical complication that's going to kill the mother, he doesn't have a valid reason to take that human life.
God damn. That, all right. I wasn't really actually ready for that one. I was, fuck. Well, okay. No. I can't reason it right now. But I still stand by, I think like HIPAA is one of the most important, like Sammy said, like as important or maybe more important than attorney-client privilege is the medical.
Then let me bring you to a scenario that's easier to see it through. Okay, so you get a woman pregnant, okay, and you want the baby. You talked about it ahead of time. Okay, I'm not saying that you would really want this, Kevin, but let's just say that you did. And I know that you've got plenty. Okay, you've been doing this. You know how it works. So you put the penis in and you get them pregnant, and then she's like, okay, I'm gonna have this baby. And you're like, great, because I want a baby. I need another one. But then she sneaks off and goes to the doctor and has the abortion. All right. Now, it was her body that was carrying the baby. The baby has its own body, and you're 50% owner of that person as the parent, right? Do you have any say now that the doctor has not only killed your child? Okay, I mean, yes, you could say that the woman had the right to do it, but do you, as the father, have any claim against the doctor? You know about it because she told you. All right, so could you report the doctor for murder of your child? Privacy is out of the window when your wife tells you she did this or went and had this guy do this.
No, I mean, well, I don't think that would work lawfully in my state right now, if that's what you mean. No, but
no. I'm not saying. Okay, do you biologically have a right as a parent to? I mean, even through a divorce or whatever, you're 50% responsible for that kid, right?
Well, not if it's dead. I don't wait. I'm not tracking here. So
the biological property, your offspring. Okay.
Potential offspring. They're not born yet if they've been aborted. Or wait.
Even if the kid's already born, you're 50% owner. That doesn't change just because the child is in the womb. That's 50% your biological material that makes up that child.
Yeah, but you can't gestate it yourself.
You're right. You're right. Okay, but what we're gestating here is a human life that you're 50% responsible for.
I don't know. Yeah, but she gets to change her mind. I mean, I think up to a certain point, that's reasonable. I can't.
She can change her mind up until the point that the child's born, and then you have a vested interest in to be responsible for its care, at least 50%, right?
I don't know. I'm not for friggin'. So I think
you're not for parents being responsible for their children.
No, I'm saying up until a certain point of development, she may have the right to change her mind and
you're
not
saying
go through
right
with the pregnancy. And
you're saying right. Okay, a right can infringe on another right.
Yeah, and
How could she possibly have this right that you're claiming if it
because
means
she is the host. She is the host, the one who has to go through the process that is.
Did you rape her?
No, but that's not the point.
No, wait. Why is that not the point?
Because
did she consent to your fucking her?
But she actually has to go through the process of birthing a child.
Right,
like
and when I start a car in motion,
right?
Kevin, when I start a car in motion, I'm also responsible for stopping the motherfucker too, right?
That's not even equitable, though.
Is it not? Okay, hold on.
Of children.
You say it's not. Yes,
the whole
I know
process.
what that's like. The
and
whole
what
process.
Women have to
yes.
go through every time they do that, and
every time they do that.
Every time they spit out a kid,
do they not know
this? How freaking crazy it is.
Hold on, Kevin. Do they not know this? Do they not understand how biology works? That if I bust a hot load in them, that they might not get pregnant
the first time.
But are you saying that women don't understand even from when they're playing house as children that babies come from men and women doing romantic things?
Sure, that's fine, but why are these kids so important? Why do we want all these kids around? Like, if they if we had to birth every kid,
that's called moving the goalpost. No, you're moving the goalpost. You're talking about practicality. They're not utilitarian products, okay? The point is, human life is either valuable or it's not.
I think we don't need to. We already have a problem of overpopulation. Like, this has been looming for a long time. We don't. It's like, okay, yes.
You don't see what you're doing?
Make people more, responsible with their procreation.
Yeah, stop fucking.
What?
Stop fucking.
Stop. You think people should be abstinent?
If they don't want kids, stop fucking.
I think that situation sucks, and you shouldn't have sex with someone who's different.
I guess it's not that fucking important about the population if we're not willing to slow down on all this fucking.
Yeah, is it such a weird thing, like, to think as a society that until we're ready to start having kids, maybe we should only do oral sex or bum sex?
Fuck them in the butt. Fuck them in the butt. Fuck them. Fuck them right in the butt.
Plenty of ways, like, to blow your load, which is all sex is about, without having to stick it in there and risk spawning.
You got to have really good pull-out game.
I say, welcome, Bryce. First time seeing you in the side chat. Good.
Come on in, Bryce.
That's a fallacy, because there are sperms. There are active sperms in pre-cum, so you can get pregnant before you blow.
Yeah, I was joking about the pull-out game. I just like talking about pulling out and busting nuts on people.
So you think celibacy is the answer, though? You honestly think that we can convince humans?
Fuck no. I don't think that celibacy is the answer. But if you want to move the goalpost to overpopulation being the issue when it's not even on the table, then I'm going to say, if you care enough about it and it's really that big of an issue, stop fucking, because you're taking a risk every time, even with a condom.
Here's an extreme example. I don't know what society it is. Because you'll probably know when I say it, but no, I'm not going to mention, because if I get it wrong, I'll sound rude. But there's a society where the young boys are encouraged, mainly by each other, but even parents, to find a donkey and basically partner with it. And they fuck this donkey until they're ready to start dating. And the reason they encourage the boys to do that is so the boys don't try and have sex with the girls before the girls are ready to get married. I think that's pretty extreme, but that's what I'm sort of saying. It does not having vaginal sex doesn't mean be celibate. You know what I mean? It's sort of, that's what people do, is it's all or nothing. Why does it have to be all or nothing? Why can't you do everything but vaginal sex?
For example.
That's amazing.
Well, the only reason that we're here, hold on, the only reason that we're here is because the goalpost got moved past human rights to overpopulation, which does not have any relevance to human rights.
Okay, so I want to go with, back to development, because that's where I feel like, where do human rights kick in, and where do the rights of the father kick in, and viability of the fetus? Because there is a certain point, and I believe there's evidence, there's good evidence, we're talking about evidence, that, up until a certain point, a fetus may or may not be viable, and whether or not there's some other method they could, like, remove the fetus or something, or but
Kevin, I'm going to ask you a question. At which point after the egg is fertilized is it not a human life?
What? After the egg is fertilized? No, it is a human life. But
Kev, is a tadpole a frog? We don't say it's not
frogs.
part of a frog.
We're humans, and we understand what happens when we
exactly.
Fuck.
And we still call a tadpole a frog. We wouldn't say tadpole.
And we know that people make mistakes, and people have unwanted pregnancies, and there's like long-term disastrous effects from like a lot of the people, the kids that end up being freaking killers and rapists. They were results of unwanted pregnancies that ended up, being.
The problem is that what you're saying without saying is that to the people who think that is a human life as soon as it's fertilized, you're saying, but people make mistakes, so kill the baby. Like, don't give the baby rights that every other human gets because this human made a mistake. Again, I'm not saying I agree, but that's the argument that's not being addressed.
That's what I'm hearing.
By the other side.
I think it's a malaligned way of putting it, because it's not like kill the baby. It's saying
it's not. Hold on, stop. It's not narrow-minded because listen, I asked. The value is human life at any stage, whether it's elderly to the point where they're not useful to society anymore in a practical manner, or we're talking about before they're actually out of the birth canal. The point is, human life is the characteristic that all of the stages have. So when you start devaluing human life at one stage, then we can examine all stages of human life and decide whether it's beneficial to keep that life alive. So I'm saying let's err on the side of human life being the ultimate value and not kill shit unnecessarily.
I think the harm imposed on the woman who carries out the unwanted pregnancy and the harm imposed on the fetus over the long term outweighs the value of keeping the fetus if it can be terminated in early stages before it becomes anything more than,
You're just talking about when you want to violate a right. Hold on, you're just talking about when the best time to violate a right is.
Yes. Yes, I am. I'm saying, when do rights begin? When should rights begin?
The value is human life
above the woman. No, the value is not ultimately just the human life. I mean, we could be more specific about that. We're talking about medical decisions, life-altering decisions that over the long term for many people, it's not. Each individual case is different, and there may be cases where termination
make a
is
good
not the
point,
best option.
though,
There may be cases where it is.
Which, like, when you say the mother can't afford it and all that sort of stuff, or when the harm that the mother will go through is outweighed by the right of the baby, that was the question. And the discussion needs to be, unless there's a medical problem which could harm the woman, what is the cost to the woman? So she has to carry a baby until term, and then she can give it up if she wants, for example, right? But the cost to the human life that was the baby is its life. I don't know that there's many things that would outweigh that from that position.
No, we're overvaluing just each individual potential human life. You not even knowing whether
No,
this
it's
baby
not a
will be born
potential.
healthy.
Stop.
No,
That's
no, stop. Whether this will be born healthy, whether it will be, so there's a whole spectrum of ideas to think, but ultimately, like, okay, so carrying the baby to term and delivering causes significant alteration to each woman for every time they do it, but especially after the first time, and it causes physical changes, it causes hormonal changes that are irreversible, right? So it's super significant the first time you carry a baby to term and deliver. Never mind that there's, I think, a pretty high rate of miscarriages in first pregnancies. I believe that is a statistic, but I can't pull it up. But okay, so I think the effect on the woman who is already having the experience versus the potential life of the baby that's not even, it's not even certain this baby can carry to term or that the woman will deliver. That's just a hypothetical, right? So we're talking about, oh, this baby might be a miracle, but that's a maybe. That's all hypothetical. So we have to think about the experience of this woman individually first, and of course the experience of the father as well, and take all of that into account. But ultimately, it's the woman who's going to be affected physically and hormonally and altered for life after that first pregnancy and birthing experience, and the child's going to be affected, equally. So, like I said, unwanted pregnancies. There's big stats about that. Those kids, they're it's that's my experience, and that's what I know.
Can I put a thought experiment to you? So you're born into a country, right, where the law's already in place that say you're just born somewhere where abortion's illegal outright, except for medical. You have to be medically at risk, or you can't abort. Like, they'll even imprison you and make you carry it to term. Now, should that society not enforce its law because a woman decided to have sex, knowing that the consequence of having sex is that there's a possibility I'll get pregnant, and then my country's law is I have to carry it to term. So I'll just choose not to have sex.
I think that's absurd, and I think people,
which is fair enough,
have sex with the wrong partners, quite frankly. Because it may be pleasurable at the time, but you really wouldn't want to have a baby with that person. So that's one thing. There's all kinds of things that happen. Society today is a blur, and so people having more options of how they're going to carry on and deal with their stupid mistakes, quite frankly, or what have you. It's like I've had a couple women that I've been with that we had like the oops moment, and there was a chance of conception, but we didn't, like, afterwards it was like, well, let me know what happens, and then I never heard back from them, and then I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know what they did with that, what happened, but they were like, oh, that's my business or whatever. And I was like, okay, but let me know and you need to let me know anything, yeah.
Well, and whilst I guess I should clarify, I'm pro-abortion. I think that the mother's it's the mother's right first and foremost. I'm all about individual rights, so I don't think other people should really have a say in what the individual does. I do agree with a society deciding there's a time limit, like 22 weeks max. If you wait 22 weeks and the thing can survive outside of you, then it sort of has its own rights now. So I agree with you, but the point I'm trying to make, I guess, is that from someone who, say, sees the baby as a human, has the same rights as a mother, the arguments we're putting forward is I should be able to kill this human life so I can make mistakes. And that's a very weak argument to those people.
No, I would say it's a psychologically reversed argument. The psychology is I am choosing not to bring this life into the world because it would be a mistake, right? So I feel like it's backwards logic. It's the person making the decision is the woman, and she's the one who's choosing whether or not to carry the life, right? And that should be her decision, in a sense.
A good way I found to see the other side of an argument is to take your own argument to a silly extreme. So, for instance, what you just said, if we go to an extreme, is, well, this child could grow up to be another Hitler, so I better kill it. That, is a pretty weak argument.
I think there's a line to be had. No, and I do think, like I said, I think viability is that line. Like when we can start to tell, when a fetus becomes conscious, and I think that could be a good line. And, maybe there's more nuanced conversation to be had about that. I listen to neuroscientists, but I don't keep data in my head. But it's like, okay, when does it because obviously, like I said, like the morning after pill or something like that, are we opposed to that? Like, how far are we taking that?
You're still here? Am I back yet?
I hear you.
Oh, good. Yep. I left the Wi-Fi range, so I had to... I agree. And I don't think that there is a solution whilst ever we disagree on what human life is. So, people who say that once the egg's fertilized, it might not be a completely developed human, but neither is a child, which is correct. Do you know what I mean? So we have to choose, well, is it consciousness that we're going to go by? And in that case, we then need to define consciousness. Is a baby properly conscious before it pops out of the womb? Is it even properly conscious then?
Yes. Babies have experiences before they pop out of the womb. We know that for sure.
But as far as the consciousness
do brain scans on babies in the womb.
Yeah, we can measure electrical activity in a brain, right? We cannot measure consciousness, and especially we don't even create memories around 2 or 3 years old. And again, I agree with you, but the fact that we can just so easily and readily go yes doesn't make us objectively correct. You know what I mean?
It makes the woman objectively correct if she can responsibly mitigate a potentially harmful or risky pregnancy, whatever. And then you want to say what's harmful, what's risky. Well, any possible risk to her or the baby as perceived by her.
So the individual gets to decide what is risk. That's okay. I guess that's fair enough. And again, I'm all about individual rights, so I agree that with everything you just said there. And for me, the only argument is, when does the baby become an individual and get its own rights? which I don't think there's an easy answer to that. I wish there was an answer that we could agree to as a society. But the only one that would ever be able to get the other side pleased is for us to decide that that's a human life from day one, which we could probably all agree to, but then it doesn't take the mother's rights into account. So
I have a compromise. Can you hear me? Just make sure.
If it's punish the dads, well, it's quite a pleasing answer.
It doesn't have to be a pleasing answer. It just has to solve the problem of the woman having the right to kill the child. If we're going to acknowledge, if we're going to grant that she has the right to do it, then we still have an innocent life being taken. And for justice to be right, someone has to be responsible, because all rights come with responsibilities. So what I'm saying is, if she has the right to do it, then that, she has the responsibility, of course, of getting pregnant and all, but she has the right. The man is the other half of that, and he doesn't have the right to kill the baby. So he's the one that's creating the situation for the woman to have to deal with. And either way, if she has the abortion, she's going to be traumatized. And if she doesn't, her body will be all messed up, or hormones will be messed up. So in fairness, since there's no upside to it, the man is ultimately responsible for getting her pregnant and should be the one that faces some sort of punishment, even if it's just taking advantage of a woman's weak state. Whatever it is, there's a human life that's being taken. And if it's a woman's right to do it, the man created the problem, the man should be punished. What do you think? I think it solves all the problems.
Are you asking me or Sammy? I'm like, okay, so this is for me. So
yeah, well, or whoever.
I'm still struggling with every potential human baby is ultimately
no, that's not what I just put forward. It doesn't matter. I just put it. Okay, well, yeah, it is a life. It's unarguably a human, or it's not even arguable that it's a human life.
It's a living thing the moment it enters the vaginal canal and begins to gestate.
No, it's human life because it's alive and it's growing, and it's not another type of species. It's a human creature.
No, I think that feels like a religious thing where it's just really.
I'm not. Okay, look, it's not. Again, the parameters being that it's growing, and if it's growing, then it's alive. Can you argue that?
Sure. No, it's alive. So no, I don't believe that every human life is. What's the word we're using here? That we can never take a human life?
Has equal value.
No, I don't think it's equal value. I don't think that it's fair to say that we can never take a human life. We can take
I'm not charging the man with murder.
We can take a human life in self-defense.
Well, then we won't charge the man with murder. So then we won't call it that.
No, the woman can take the life in self-defense.
I've already granted that the woman can't be held responsible for the abortion. Didn't I say that? She has the right to do it. What I'm saying is the man created a dangerous situation. He created a dangerous situation for the woman because she didn't want the baby and he put the baby in her. Okay.
Well, the woman's already, so everybody's been absolved. The woman.
No, not the man.
Well, the man will be charged with rape. The woman took the life of the baby in self-defense, and the whole situation's already been solved.
It's not rape.
Well, then the man's been charged with. Well, then how was it?
We'll call it coercion, or no, creating a dangerous situation. There it is. Endangering human life. There we go. Reckless endangerment.
Whose life?
The baby's life and the woman's life.
You're making up the law.
No, it's two human lives. I'm not. I'm just saying it has to be something because it's growing, it's human, so it's a human life. I'm not saying it's murder, but if nothing else, he's endangering the woman by putting her in this situation. She can be damaged psychologically if she has the abortion, or physically if she carries it to term.
if she didn't consent to the situation, then it was rape, and if she did, then it's fine. She can still have self-defense against the potential human growing inside of her.
Right, but so now we have a human life that's being taken, but there's no penalty or consequence to the person that created the situation.
Right. Yeah, I have no problem with that.
So we just devalued human life, is what you're saying at this stage. We can
I'm saying
devalue human life.
we've valued our right to procreate responsibly.
Okay, so now let's take it to the other end of the spectrum where we have a helpless human being that might be in the care of another adult, say an elderly parent, and they're quite a burden, and it's traumatic to watch them grow old, and sometimes maybe they have dementia and they damage you. Well, at this stage in life, they're causing more harm to the individual taking care of them than good that's hosting them in their house or wherever. Should they be allowed to dispose of them since at this point, they're not like a functional human life. They're just a crazy old person.
I actually I have a mixed feelings about assisted suicides, or in the specific case of like dementia.
This would be euthanasia.
Potentially some type of humane sleep euthanasia ceremony or something, when people have no idea, because it happened to my grandma, and she had no idea who the fuck her kids were. She had no idea who the fuck I was, and she was there for years, and they just didn't have enough people to really care for all the elderly people that are just losing their shit in nursing homes. And so, because they get paid crap wages, in the capitalist society that we live in. So, yeah, insert rhetoric here. Sorry. But yeah, and I was like, dude, like, she's gone. There is no grandma left.
So should you be allowed to shoot her in the fucking head and put Granny down?
She can go for a nice long nap on, whatever,
right.
Nice
could you put a pillow over her face?
We have these days.
Could you quietly put a pillow over her face?
I mean, you could, but I feel like giving them drugs is the best option. I mean, why not just drug everybody to death,
Okay. So elderly people and babies under 9 months are basically expendable because they're dependent and they don't know what's going on and they're not beneficial to society.
Yes. Correct. It's not that they're not beneficial to society. It's that
they're damaging to the host.
The fact that we have a person who is either at the very beginning or the very end stages of life says that we're at the critical point, right? We can either decide, okay, this person we're not ready to birth this person into the world yet because we're the person making the decision who is ultimately responsible for them.
So can we say 80 years old?
Or we could say at the other end of that we're the child who is ultimately responsible for the parent, and whether we're going to cut the life support or whatever,
So I'm agreeing with you. I'm going to grant you that, and I'm going to say 80 is the cutoff. I think at 80, at that point, you're basically a problem to everyone around you, and you're not even competent anymore. And I'm saying that 80 years old, you're not even really a human anymore.
Well, that's arbitrary, though. You're not assigning it to the individual case. You're just putting an arbitrary number there.
Aren't we doing that with when we put the date of when you can have an abortion?
If we're not using how we can measure, so I would say like brain activity, maybe that could be a line. I don't know. I don't know what doctors would agree on because I'm not a doctor.
Now we're putting.
But I would ask what doctors would agree on.
You just put a new parameter in, which is brain activity, which means people in comas. If there's not brain activity, we should go ahead and put them down too.
Okay, maybe I should say certain brain activity because, like I said, I'm not a doctor. But yeah, I would ask what doctors. But there's something having to do with brain development and brain activity. People in a coma is a totally different state from birth and death, which is like a pretty much a static thing. People come out of comas. People don't come out of death, and people.
So who decides? Who's the expert that decides who gets to die and who gets to live? Who's that expert? What metric?
Well, ultimately, that's why we're talking about fucking doctors, right? Like, so if doctors are like, yeah, we should perform abortions and we do experiments with, we've done this for a long time. They used to just like pull the babies out with pliers or something, and now they actually like have, sophisticated procedures. So I think we could listen to these people, but
I
I don't
guess
know.
you could put your trust in them. I don't think that I'm willing to trust the doctor to decide when I live or die. I want him to respect the fact that I'm alive right fucking now. I'm alive and I'd like to stay that way, and it's my right to stay that way.
But if you are a fucking vegetable and you cannot even articulate,
doesn't mean I want to die. Doesn't mean in any part of my being I'm like, kill me.
So what do they do with you? Just
Also,
keep spoon feeding you every day and wiping your ass? Do they leave you in the forest somewhere to be eaten by bees, or I don't know, like
I don't know, send me home to die with my family, I guess, naturally, but don't fucking kill me. Let whatever's gonna happen, but for God's sake, don't just decide for me. Especially if you hadn't talked to me about it and got my consent. And I feel the same way about the baby.
and even if it was one person ever one time, which it's not, there's been who knows how many times when the doctors have said to a family person, they're not coming back. It's been this long. They're a donor. We need their organs. You need to sort of make a decision. The family stick to their guns, and in any amount of time you want to pick, the person wakes up. That happens. So the question is, does that person, even if it was one person once, is that life not worth us deciding we're not going to just, decide when a human life has no value anymore? That really shouldn't, the only person that can ever make that decision is the individual. And if they're unable to make it, then maybe we do need to look after them as a society.
I'm sorry, Sammy, because I hear where you guys are coming from. I can't get past this. Like, a person who hasn't been born, maybe doesn't even have a name yet, like all this, these different,
okay.
It feels like such a generalization on,
hold on,
well,
fine,
as soon as we fuck, we have human life, and there's no more, like, I just can't get behind that, and I can't.
Okay, is it growing? Yes.
It's a seed. Sure, it's a seed.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's life. Okay, it's life.
It does.
It's not an ostrich. It's not a frog. It's a human being or a human life. It could be nothing else but a human life. So now
humans are more important than ostriches and frogs because we're more intelligent.
Well, not because of that, just because that's our species. Our species has a social agreement that we don't kill each other.
Can I ask you a question? It's a very serious question.
I'd love it.
Do you think that human beings will eventually inhabit space and other planetoids?
I have no idea.
So why do you think that we actually have enough room for all these potential humans to be, that might have been born, that everyone should be born, that is born, is conceived naturally? Like, do you think
we have more than enough
gross number of humans?
We have more than enough room.
We have more than enough room.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! I've seen.
Do you not? Do you think that? Hold on. Well, I know you don't, but you don't understand what our limitations would be. I could ask you what our limitations would be, and you might say housing, or you might say food, but either one of those would be absolutely false.
I think it's sheer space and landmass. At least the way that property ownership works. And the way
you don't think that we have more land mass than we have people? If you want to conserve
any type of natural open environment, open space, then you have to consider for that too. And we really don't have enough space.
We're just doing it wrong.
More humans
we're just doing it wrong.
Okay, I guess that's a whole infrastructure argument that I don't.
Well, we have so much desert that could easily be greened, and we're not even trying.
Well, like
terraforming our own
No,
deserts?
permaculture. It's called permaculture. In fact, there's a man right now named Jeff Lawton who has gone into, you know where the Dead Sea is, right? And I guess over towards Israel.
Yeah.
All right, you understand it's the lowest point of the earth, and it's so salty in the Dead Sea that there's no life. And the area around that is also highly salted. So what this guy has done is use permaculture techniques, and you can go look it up. It's called greening the desert. You can do an easy Google or a YouTube search, and he'll show you what he's done. But he's basically desalinated that area of the desert using permaculture, and now it's producing food. And if you calculate how much space is on our planet is actually desert, if this was done, we would have so much more food production and land for people to inhabit that we're not currently even using. It's because we're doing things incorrectly.
I have some pushback for you, Will.
Bryce
I think I found a flaw in your argument. Sorry, Kev.
Oh, no, go ahead.
The flaw in my argument that there's enough space and...
Not that one. Okay. No. The punish the fathers. So
yeah, what's the flaw?
Whilst it kind of addresses your opponent's arguments, it actually doesn't help yours. Because you've now just gone back to agreeing to killing the babies. It's just that there's someone we can now blame for it.
Well, no, I can't stop them from killing the babies because it's granted in the argument, even though I don't believe it. I grant that for their argument, the woman would have the right to do it. Although a right can't exist that deprives another human life of whatever their rights are. So then you have to have somebody who is the cause of this situation. And since we're going to absolve the woman from any responsibility for her own body and decisions, we have to put that on the man because he's the one that created the situation and suffers no physical malady because of it.
Question. Do we need to have someone to blame? Or is that just our emotional need for justice and someone to blame?
Only if we are going to place any value whatsoever on human life. Because if you're going to value human life and you say you're going to defend it, then you have to punish those who violate that sacred idea.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
See, I don't draw the line at life. I'm like, no, we don't, and we don't. I mean, we still have the death penalty in a lot of states too. So I don't even think that follows like universally in the U.S. Unless
focus on that.
Yeah.
When do we do that?
Usually when people take other human lives.
Thank you. I'm done.
But, there's a very specific point behind that because again, it's not the, okay. Yeah, we tend to take it more seriously when someone kills a pregnant woman, say perhaps, but nobody considers the woman that
Yeah, it's called a double homicide.
In this age,
it's a double homicide under the law. Yeah, it's considered another human life.
And I think that's incorrect. I don't even think that's a valid way to look at it. I don't know that the baby always needs to be considered in such a way.
Why? Why?
Because again, it hasn't been born yet. There's a chance it may not be.
You're saying geographical location,
huh?
Because it's geographical location because it's inside the mother. It's
right.
Not, it's
not it is still dependent upon the mother. Mother is host. It is essentially a parasite.
Kevin, you have children.
Unborn babies are parasites.
They're dependent. No, a parasite has to be a different species. But you understand that. Hold on.
Yeah, but it does the same thing.
You're still a host. Somebody is still a host once the child is born and still has to take care of the child. So until they're independent of anyone, they are a host, or someone is a host to them.
Right. And so it is the...
So up until they're 12, you should be able to kill them because they're draining you.
Oh, no. It's not a physical parasite at that point. Come on now.
Yeah, sure they are. Because I have to spend more of my life and energy working to provide for them. I have to sacrifice more of myself, my time, my emotional content to them. So in a way, yeah, they're still parasitically draining on me, and up until the point where they can take care of themselves, maybe they're not even viable.
See, it's your male brain. You're not thinking maternally. That's the problem. Some women breastfeed their children until they're well into their teenage years, and it's just out of motherly love.
That's sick.
Again, I'll just keep saying so you don't think I'm some crazy right-wing gun nut stinky bigot, but you've just kind of contradicted yourself there, Kev. What was the very last thing you said again about the mother?
Oh, breastfeeding children into their teens. Yeah, it's a thing in a lot of, especially in impoverished countries.
No. The very last words you said before I started speaking, I can't even remember now.
I thought that was it. They were breastfeeding their teenagers. I don't. Is that not the
we were
last
talking
thing
about them still being parasitic to the host?
Oh yeah,
sorry, I was smoking weed, so I couldn't.
The parasites when they're in the womb, yeah.
And they couldn't be parasites because they're the same species, so your definition doesn't work.
Bryce, I like your style. I wanted to, let you troll with honor. So,
so will you go back and recant what you just said about being a parasite?
No, wait. Why would I do that?
Because you're using the word inappropriately. A parasite has
okay. It is okay. So a developing fetus. It is
the natural part of life that we all start at.
If you take it out and put it, on the ground, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to move. It's not going to seek sustenance. It's not going to think about things as far as you could tell, like up to a certain point. And even then, it's still not really going to be able to react. So it's like, okay.
I could say all those things about a 3-month-old. I put them on the ground, they're gonna fucking die.
Well, a 3-month-old is gonna try.
We don't know
most healthy developed 3-month-olds, they're gonna try.
They wouldn't even know what they were trying to do. Kevin, they wouldn't even know what they were trying to do. It would just be action.
No. We're talking about two different things, though. Like, at what point does the child become the child? Like, and again,
so even though it doesn't understand what
it becomes
so even
more
though
important.
It doesn't understand what's motivating it, it's instinctively trying to live. The 3 or the 3 month.
That's the nature of all life. That doesn't mean that all life has to be sustained.
I don't believe
all life is to try
to exist.
I got you. The will of all life is to continue.
Human or any other thing would have to be sustained necessarily. There has to be a point where we consider it reasonable to sustain a human life.
You know what? You just convinced me that welfare is stupid. Thanks.
Welfare is stupid?
Yeah, I also just realized we need to kill disabled people.
Fucking parasites.
Damn it. See, no. These are already people. You have potential people in unborn humans.
But a person born a vegetable.
People, and you can see, like, oh, we have these bad results from having unstable households.
Which one of us didn't start out as one of those things that you're saying isn't a person?
No, I'm not saying that they're not a person. I'm saying that they're not yet a freaking
Okay,
They're not.
Kevin, I think you're being dishonest, bro. I love you, but I
There's
think you're
not a
being
word
dishonest.
for not life that's like other than I call it potential life.
All right, which
Like,
one of us
okay, at
did
some
not
point
start
it is
out
a
in this
potential
state?
life, and it's
Okay,
either a
but
good
which
decision or a bad decision to let that life come to happen.
which one of us did not start out in that exact state?
We all started out in the same state. Every life that ever has always started out in that same state.
Okay, was it a good idea that we were allowed to live, or was that a mistake?
I don't know about us specifically. I would say that most organisms don't have a choice, and they don't even realize that there could be a choice, and we have a privilege in having a choice.
Okay. Do you place any value? What value do you place on human life, Kevin?
I think it's cool. I'm like, yeah, we should probably try to sustain the people that are living as much as possible. But,
the people that are living.
But not like potential living people who are almost living or something, but
no, they're living if they're growing. If they're growing, by definition, they're living.
But they're not like, they're not out there in the sunshine getting vitamin D.
Neither are a lot of the disabled.
That was my point, Kev. A person born a vegetable never had this, what we've decided arbitrarily, that consciousness was the deciding thing. So shouldn't we kill that person, even if the parents want them?
No, and I'm not for killing people with Down syndrome either, because I know that people with Down syndrome have perfectly fine experiences. But it's like, I think at some point, if the parent knows they're not going to be a good parent, I think they should have the option. It's like, no, I don't have to carry this fetus to term. I don't want to give it up for adoption to some stranger because I have no idea what's going to happen to it. So I would rather terminate myself, my choice right now. And I think that should be an option because it's medically available. I don't think it's the best or I think it's up to each individual. And I don't think that's something that we should limit for people, because we're like, well, what if that child had been born? And you're like, well, what if? You can't go take it yourself. You don't even have that option. You're just putting it out there as a hypothetical. So you have no idea where this person is or what their circumstances. So why would you even make that argument? You're putting so much responsibility on the act of sex when we know that people have sex irresponsibly all the time. And it's like, okay, I think we have much bigger problems to worry about with drugs and reckless whatever. People are
For me, Kev, it's about making people admit their reasoning. I'm not saying you can't have your position. I hold the very same position, more than likely. My thing is, I am willing to say I have no logical reason other than that is my fucking feelings about the matter. That's the only argument that's the honest one, because none of us can say what's a life. We all have different opinions. But that's why I will take someone's example and show them, take it to the extreme, and you don't agree when it's in the extreme, but you'll be like, oh, but a milder version of the same silly logic is okay, which is fine. I just want us to admit it, that decide as a society, okay, it's immoral to kill an unborn baby, but we've decided as a society that it's more immoral to force a woman to go through with it. No one can then argue with that. Do you know what I mean? That was an answer to your why,
we actually agree.
I've been trying to say all along, yeah. I don't hold the same position as Will. I just I noticed that the arguments that people push back against him with are people don't examine their own reasoning. And a lot of it's either contradictory or they cherry pick and say that their logic is okay here but not here.
Yeah, but I think the standard for what the value of life is kind of, it is a bit
arbitrary.
I think it's vague. I mean,
subjective.
People don't, think about it twice when they exterminate rodents or step on insects. Oh, but we have to value all life, all human life at what cost, and then all of that stuff. And people don't really like to examine that very much.
Although Will may disagree, to me, that is a logically much more powerful argument because you've now made the argument, but you've stipulated human life. Now, why is humans more important than the fucking ants that we kill that get in our sugar? That's as arbitrary as it's a life here, it's a life at this point, it's a life at that point.
I'm sorry, I thought that was fucking hilarious. That made me fucking die laughing.
I missed it. What was it?
Homosexuality solves the problem. I said that earlier.
Absolutely. Just saying. That's what I said before. It's all about sticking the penis in the vagina. That one act is the act that causes the babies, not going down on each other or bum sex or so many things you can do. But we should be right. And I agree with you. Again, it's arbitrary and it's a personal thing. There's no real argument for it. But I think we should be allowing our kids to make mistakes as humans and grow up and not make our 15, 16-year-olds have a child because they gave in to the hormones that could be argued take away your choice. We don't hold criminally insane people responsible. We might lock them away for everyone's safety, but we try and deem whether a person even can comprehend what they did was wrong. Why would we then force a 15-year-old to have a child? If we're going to say that child was able to make that adult decision, then we should be letting them vote, smoke, drink, drive. No. But you can have a fucking human being and raise it. That makes no sense. And we know
as captains of the ships, as parents, that's the game that's always being played. And young people are always trying to come up on us. And it's like we're trying to restrict the age they start doing these things. And then there's this battle about, how young they want to have sex, how young they want to start experimenting with drugs and alcohol. And where's the line where we soften I'm saying it. Yeah, I'm not supposed to pronounce the T. And then we.
Exactly. Whereas I taught my boys, I didn't teach celibacy. I taught them respect of a person's body and that they have the ultimate say. And even if they've said yes, for example, if they now say no, you stop instantly and stuff like that. But then call it indoctrination, whatever. They're my fucking kids. I'll do what I want. But I scared my boys at the idea of having a fucking kid. It helps when someone has younger siblings and they've had to help raise them and babysit them and put up with them and shit. You just remind them, that little sibling that you're fucking is driving you nuts, that's the result of sticking your dick in somebody. So make sure you put a hat on it or just fucking go down on each other, whatever. Be aware of the risks. And so far, the oldest one's, he's made it to nearly 19 and hasn't got a kid yet, so fingers crossed. But that's what I mean. Celibacy is the worst thing you can possibly do. It has the exact opposite effect. At this point, as far as I'm concerned, that's not even an opinion. That's a scientific fact. You can measure it. You can reproduce it. That if you teach abstinence to children without any sex education, teen pregnancies increase every time. Have I killed you, Kev? Have you fallen asleep on me again?
No, I killed myself. I wanted to let you finish the statement because I had a few things I wanted to interject, but I didn't want to interrupt. But I was like, "Well,
sorry.
Congrats with the baby."
Feel free to interrupt anytime.
I was like, yeah, no. So the sex ed thing was like a really weird thing because my parents never talked about it with me, and I got to talk a little bit about it with my oldest when she was like younger, but very basic, consent type of things, like don't let people touch you there and that type of thing, but and so with my, I say that was my eldest, and then my youngest. So because he's on the spectrum, he's got sensory issues. It hasn't really been a big issue, but he does understand romance a bit. Like he was caught kissing with a girl at school. What it was a few years ago now. So very early on, but he doesn't seem to be like hypersexualized. And because he's nonverbal, it's hard to explain it to him. He doesn't quite have the vocabulary for it. But I'm always like, oh man, but he is such a ladies' man. He always gets so much attention from women. It's like it's unreal.
Yeah, so I don't know if you know what I do for a living, but I've worked with people like that. And one of the people that I was most endeared by was a 16-year-old, was 16 now, but I've worked with him since he was 12. Non-verbal, but just such a sweet, sweet human being. Put us normies to fucking shame.
Yeah, exactly. And it
used to kill me to see him, like, he was always having a rough time at school because he was a sweet kid, he just got walked over, ignored, taken advantage of. Fucking terrible.
I've also seen a lot of homophobic interactions, I think, because my kid, he tends to be kind of physically affectionate, but he doesn't quite understand the appropriateness of it. And so with like other males, they get aggressive with him because he tries to hug them and things like that. It's like, at a very young age, I was like, oh, okay.
And see, there's an example of my point about point of view. To me, the fact that people like that are sexual towards both sexes naturally is actually an argument that homosexuality is a part of nature to those Christians who make that argument, as opposed to we don't see it in nature. It's like, well, yeah, if you don't teach a human about boy, girl, this or that, they won't give a fuck. If they're attracted to someone, they're attracted. That's it. That's as far as it goes. all the rest of it we've put on top. Little off the topic there, but I thought it was a good opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I think it has a lot to do with upbringing. Like when we're taught that physical affection is okay, like people tend to spontaneously hug other people, and then sometimes those other people are always on the defense because they're taught that this is, a warning sign. So, that's an obvious sign of abuse. And so they react with violence, and it's like, it's like, how do you, overcome that? It's just teaching more affection and more compassion, right? Like, I think. It's not even necessarily, it doesn't have to be sexual, like we tend to become guarded as children when we're in environments that are abusive or hostile in some way or inconsistent, like creates a barrier in our minds for affection.
Essentially, you can sort of put it down to two negative things that all bad things fall under is either the threat of or doing harm or abuse, and the other one, the more passive one, but just as damaging, is neglect. And every fucked up thing you can do to a child falls into one of those.
There's another argument, there for a parent who could acknowledge that they might be neglectful or they might be abusive if they had a child. And, even early on in that pregnancy, if they were to be like, no, there's no way that I should have a kid. I'm way too messed up for this. Maybe that should be an option for those people. Like, I don't see why that should be off the table, because maybe the child could get a good foster parent, hypothetically. Like, so I still I fall into that category, and it's like, I don't know. I always had this argument with my parents because they've never been together. My mom, I was the keep a ninja baby, but the ninja didn't actually stay, and he went and had another family, and now I just got to be okay with that, so I'm like, okay. So
the problem is the keep a ninja baby only works on decent human beings. And if they're already a decent human being, then they're not really bailing on their kid.
I kind of like my dad as I get older, but he still was, kind of a fucking piece of shit when he was younger, and he fucked up a lot. But I've fucked up a lot too, so I just, I just try to think, I did something different, It's like,
I
was letting go all of that hateful shit from the past and just being objective about it. I'm like, I think, it probably would have been more responsible of my parents to have an abortion, like, that's the reality. I mean, it is what it is now, but that was the more responsible thing to do.
I think a good way to try and understand it is, yes, bud, you need to get dressed first. Is I look at myself now at 40 and I think how many things I fuck up still. And then I think back to my parents at that age, and it was like, wow, I viewed them as like these superhuman people that should have been able to have had their shit sorted and that. I ain't got my shit sorted. You know what I mean? As you reach different milestones and think of your parents at those milestones, you sort of relate more and realize, holy shit, they had no clue what they were doing. And it's probably because their parents were rubbish.
So you think, some of us actually get better by kind of having, not the greatest parents or something? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, dude. 90% of how I raise my kids is just by doing the opposite of what my parents did.
Sounds like you're parenting now. And Richard, it's almost 2:20 a.m. and I have to work tomorrow. So, but I feel that we've made new friends here. Bryce, Burchett, and William. They can come here and debate on the channel, and it'll be good fun. Bryce has a lot to offer here in the side chat.
And I hope anyone new in the chat doesn't think that I think we should be forcing women to carry babies to term. I hold the same position as Kev. I just like to be devil's advocate sometimes and make sure that people are being honest with their logic and stuff.
And it's important. I that's why I want to have the conversations. I mean, same as here. And yeah, I have a lot of love for William. I dig the conversations we have. So I'm not, I'm just like, we disagree on this issue, and
yeah,
I knew we did. So
it doesn't mean that I need to cancel you.
No, don't cancel raccoons. Live fast and eat trash. Sammy, are you streaming soon, or what are you doing?
Well, yeah, I'll be streaming in an hour or so.
All right, fucking A. Well, I'll be asleep, but I'll probably catch it in the morning.
Yeah, we usually go for a while, so awesome.
Do you have a link yet? Do you want to share a link?
No, I haven't created the stream yet or got a topic or anything, unfortunately.
Damn it. Well, you should cover this stream and go on about it. No.
Yeah, I shall. That was a good discussion, good topic.
Yeah, I had fun. All right, ending stream. Awesome. Wait, were you gonna say something else?
Oh no, I was just gonna say it was awesome. Have a good night.
You too, my friend. Much love. 3, 2, 1.